we're going to talk about the stadium. Is that okay?
The stadium.
Is it true that the Eagles are we're moving forward in talks with the Eagles to continue to rent Lincoln Financial Field?
It is true. We have not yet set the date. It's obvious that even if we got approval for an on-campus stadium, it would not be ready in time. So we need a lease extension from the Eagles. We've talked to the governor about it, and we intend to talk to the Eagles about it. And we've worked diligently with respect to, as you know, having an on-campus stadium, which we all think would be good for the community as well as the students and the faculty, from the standpoint of if the students at Temple and the faculty at Temple want Division I football, which we have, we need a stadium to play in it, and the most efficient and economical venue for Division I football at Temple is an on-campus stadium. That's a fact. So we're still working towards that. We haven't abandoned that. Bill and others within the cabinet are working diligently with the elected officials and local community members to see if it can happen. It's going to be across the street. It's going to be community-driven. It's going to be used by the community. We're going to have retail there. We're going to have classroom space there. It's much more than a stadium, but we'll call it a stadium.
So where are those plans at right now?
They're on hold because we need council approval to go forward with the construction, and right now that has not been forthcoming, as I believe. So as a result, we now have to extend the Eagles lease, the lease with the Eagles, which is a stadium we helped pay for. You recall when the stadium, way before you were a second grader, or maybe not even born, Temple contributed $15 million towards the construction of the link. In exchange for that, we were given a 15-year lease for that money. And we're currently paying much more than that, including game day expenses. And we're hopeful we can come to a fair deal with the Eagles for the sake of Temple. Because if we can play football in what we believe to be a venue that's not terribly expensive, the students are the winners, because then we have more money for scholarships and things of that nature. And that's our goal here. That's why we're here at Temple.
So how long would the lease be?
We don't know. We're going to meet with the Eagles, and we're going to ask for a sufficient term in the lease that we can have Division I football at Temple. I mean, ideally, it'd probably be a 10-year extension, but I don't know. We're not there, but we're going to get there. We're going to have this meeting, we hope, in the next 2 months, and we're going to work with the governor and the mayor with respect to this too, because it's their asset. So
the community has been pretty outspoken against a stadium.
You say that, I hear that, but which part? There's a great deal of the community that's for it. They're just unheard. There's many people for the stadium. And then I read that there was a thing in the faculty, the majority of the faculty are against it. I don't know how many faculty voted, but it was probably 10%. So I don't know the answer to that. But if the community truly that lives here is against the stadium, we won't build it. But I would like to challenge that.
Well, I wanted to ask, with this neighborhood kind of turmoil over this project, what is Temple going to do moving forward to have a dialogue with the community?
We've had, and Bill Bergman and others can tell you this, we've had a continuing dialogue with the community. We have many people that live in this community that have met with us and said they are for the stadium. We have some stadium stompers, I don't know where they live, and I'm not challenging their motives, who are against it. I believe they're in the minority. But we are going to launch a committee of the board that will be directed towards enhancing the knowledge of what we do for this community on a daily basis. We do a lot for the community, but it's not well publicized. We'll continue to do a lot for the community. We care about this community. We're not responsible for the gentrification of the community. We are against gentrification of the community. We don't want our neighbors displaced, but they are being displaced through no fault of Temple because of these tax abatement plans. And developers come in and they buy these buildings, they get tax abatement, and they put our kids there. But we can't control that. So we take to heart our responsibility to live in this community. I want this community to thrive as a community where people can send their kids to grade schools and high schools, and then hopefully come to Temple, where they can walk to retail establishments at or near our campus and have a life that everyone else has. Our mission with the community is congruous. It's congruent. We're not opposed to improving their life and having Temple as the lodestone of education and other things. When we built the practice fields where we play soccer and lacrosse, that was a much more daunting experience, and the community embraced it. We ripped down that, was at William Penn High School. We built playing fields there. It was a home run for the community. It was a home run for Temple. Why can't this be the same? And remarkably, we had no community, or the very little community opposition to that playing field. So I think we got to do a better job of communicating what we do for this community. We are going to have this trustee committee with community participation on the community, a first, to how better get across what our plans are for them and for the Temple community. And I think we're going to launch that next week. And that's a big first step in improving the relationship.
Okay, so let's talk about the Fox School business. When you first heard about what was happening, as chairman, what was your first thought?
I was shocked, I was disappointed, but, and other schools have had this issue. Villanova Law School had this issue. I was disappointed and shocked. However, as soon as it was determined that false data was given in U.S. News, Temple self-reported the errors. As soon as that was learned, we hired an outside law firm with no connection with Temple to do an investigation to determine how it happened, who was responsible, and then we took action. In my judgment, the administration at Temple, the president and the provost, should be applauded for how direct and transparent they were when the problem, which does occur in other schools, was disclosed. Now let's be very clear about what really happened there. We have the same great faculty at the Temple Business School, the same great teachers, the same great curriculum. The core of what Temple Business School is never changed. In an effort to increase our rankings, which were already very high with accurate data, people made a mistake. And we're suffering a ranking failure for it. Under the new dean, there's new energy. We still have one of the greatest business schools in America. We'll continue to have a great business school in America. And we're dealing with the issues that came about with the false reporting. There were false data was issued to U.S. News. No doubt about it. This administration didn't know about it. We were all shocked and disappointed.
There was a recent Philly magazine article that talked about Temple's current leadership, including you. Do you want to respond to any of the comments or thoughts that were included in that article?
Look, I didn't get the point of the article is Temple lost its way. Temple University, when I came on this board at the age of 28, now I'm 75, has never lost its way. Its mission is affordable education and accessible education. Every day that I spend as chairman of the board with my fellow trustees in this administration, we never lost our way. We still, of all the state-related schools, have the lowest tuition of any of the state-related schools, even though we have the smallest endowment. We spend 18% of the money on scholarships and aid to our students. So the basic tuition for kids who can't afford to go to great universities is minimized here. So the only thing I worry about as being a trustee and as a chairman is being true to Conwell's mission. This is a school for people who ordinarily would not have the opportunity to get a first-class university education at an affordable price with great professors. It's always been our mission. Get sidelined by my representation of Bill Cosby? It's a false issue. There's no conflict in my representation of Bill Cosby. Never was. And when I represented him in 2005, there was no issue. It only came to light with the Me Too movement. But I'll deal with that. But Temple was never implicated in the Cosby case, Temple University.
So do you have any regrets about that looking back now?
I have a duty as a trial lawyer to represent people who desire my representation. It didn't interfere with anything at Temple. It didn't. Bill Cosby was a great trustee and a great student here. And then he got in harm's way. And we had a civil settlement that I handled, and then thereafter they decided to indict him. And the process went forward and he was found guilty. But I have no regrets, because Temple was never implicated. If Temple was implicated in the Cosby indictment or in the Cosby civil suit, which I handled, I would not have been involved. But it wasn't. So these people that think that there was some issue there are misguided. And by the way, that can be verified by any ethicist that deals with this issue. I got pasted because Cosby was accused of assaulting women. I said I used to represent murder one victims, murder one defendants. That's almost as bad, isn't it? But no one said anything about that. So no, I don't regret it. It's a false issue.
I think a lot of the backlash comes from the fact that Andrea Constand was an employee of Temple at the time.
She was an employee of Temple. She gave 3 dates about when the alleged assault occurred. One date was she was gone. Her relationship with Cosby went on for several years after she left Temple, several months after she left Temple. And she had meetings and conversations with Cosby for many months after that. But nothing happened at Temple. It didn't occur at Temple. They happened to meet here.
Let's talk about your legacy. You mentioned you've been on the board since you were 28 years old.
Well, I had an interim. I was off for about 14 years or so.
But that's a lot of time to dedicate to Temple. What do you hope your legacy will be here once I know you're not retiring, you're just not going to be chairman after July.
I hope people like you and other people can come here and get a world-class education at an affordable price and become Temple made. It's the only thing I care about. This is I went to King's College in Wilkes-Barre, a very small Temple. It was a school created for coal miners' kids so they could get an education. Temple has educated the masses, the poor, the forgotten. They come here, they get transformed. Yourself as an example. You get a world-class education at a great university at an affordable price. And it's accessible. We're not elite. We are elite in many ways, but we're not elite in who can come here, or what they look like, or what their income is, or what their SAT is. We attract these students, and they become newscasters, lawyers, doctors, teachers. That's the only legacy I care about. The football stadium, nice. Buildings are nice. I care about the teaching experience at Temple and what our students get. And I would stack our students, our Temple students, against Harvard, Yale, Penn, any other great university in America. And I think we give them a better education.
Is there anything you would do differently?
Make it cheaper. If we could get more money and get our alums to contribute to this mission, I would like Temple to be even less expensive. But I have no regrets in anything I've done here.
Students don't often get to hear directly from you. What do you want students to know about you, about your service, about anything? What do you want students to know about Patrick O'Connor?
That I care about them, that in my philanthropy, I contribute to scholarships of students that come here so they don't have debt when they come out. I want them to know that I was like them. Without an education, which I was given at King's and Villanova Law School, I wouldn't have had any measure of success. I want them to know they can, if they want to be. An education is the leveler. I don't care where you're from, where you live, how much money you have, what the color of your skin is, whatever. You get a college education, you're their equal. Anyone's equal. That's what I care about. They have to know that that's my passion. And my fault to a degree, and I know a lot of the students here. I know the student body presidents. We should probably spend more time with the students. And they should understand that our 36 trustees who come here and give their time, their advice, and their money have one mission: to make this a great school and to keep it affordable. And when you think about it, we're still the most affordable state-related university in the Commonwealth with the smallest endowment. Now that takes a lot of time that I spend with the governors and the speakers on my dime trying to convince them, which we have, that Temple's a special place and needs help. At the same time, we have a health system that serves the poorest of the poor. We don't have the greatest reimbursement rate. So we have to do our best to be able to take care of the people in our community. And this gets back to the community. The good we do in this community, in dental health care, in health care, hospital health care, in our doctors, is immeasurable. And I think this administration should be applauded for maintaining that mission at great cost. It's not a moneymaker like Penn and Pitt. So our mission is taking care, in my judgment, both educationally and health-wise, people who otherwise would not get that opportunity. And that's what resonates with Temple. That's my whole life here. That's what I'd like the students to know. And don't get a cold during cold season.
Is there anything else you want to add?
I hope the students that come to Temple appreciate that we, as trustees and the administration, really look after them. You know, you look at our sports programs. We educate our athletes. They are student athletes. They are not athletes who are students. I'm very proud of that. So if they break a leg playing football for Temple, they'll be an accountant. They'll be a physicist. We don't look in the mirror and take enough credit for who we are and what we do. And our students, I want them to understand, you are part of a great university with great outcomes, with faculty and administration that care about you and who you are and how you end up in the world. And I could look you in the eye and say, I'm glad you came here. I think you're a huge credit to Temple. I'm proud of all the great graduates that have come through here. And I'm proud of the students that are matriculating here now. And I hope it never changes. I don't want to become Penn or Harvard. I want Temple to be Temple. It's one of the most unique universities in the world.